Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of our program. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and today we're privileged to have with us David Meltzer, who is the founder and CEO of Sports One Marketing. David, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's such a pleasure to be on.
Well, you know, I love speaking to thought leaders, and I've got the privilege of interviewing a lot of people, and it's so fun to learn. I feel like I'm the, Napoleon Hill of our time. You know, you'll just pick up little things and learn. And looking at your website and Sports One Marketing, you've made quite a mark, so I definitely want to talk about that. And then you also have a wonderful passion for giving back and things like that. So I want to blend all that together. But let's just get started with tell us a little bit about yourself and, what led you into the sports marketing industry.
Sure. I had a very different path than most. I went to law school, and my real goal of going to law school was just to be rich. And so when I graduated law school, I had a choice to be an oil and gas litigator. I went to Tulane, which was one of the leading law schools for that, or to get into the internet. A legal publisher had offered me a job to sell legal research online. And so I made a choice against my mom's advice, which is very rare for me. But my mom had told me to be a real lawyer, that the internet was going to be a fad, and ended up taking the internet job and reaching and meeting my goals. I became a millionaire in my 20s, a multimillionaire in my 30s, ended up as CEO of Samsung's first convergence device division, which is now called smartphones, and retired in my 30s after being a technology guru with a law degree. And I met Leigh Steinberg, the most notable sports agent in the world, who within 48 hours of meeting me had offered me a chief operating officer job. And 6 months later, I actually became the CEO of the most notable sports agency in the world, which led me 7 years ago to Warren Moon, who was a client and then a partner with Leigh and I. We spun off a marketing company. And the specific purpose of the marketing company was not just to leverage the $2 billion in management representing celebrities, athletes, and entertainers, but more importantly, using the inner circle of relationship capital, not only the celebrities, athletes, and entertainers, but media, high net wealth individuals, sponsors, activations, all for a key objective of making a lot of money so we could help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. And so everything that Warren and I did and do specifically has to have some charitable component or purpose to it. And so we felt that we were blessed with this enormous situational knowledge and relationship capital, and that we could utilize it as a bug light to attract abundance that we could share with everyone while we were having fun circulating around the biggest sporting and entertainment projects in the world, like Super Bowl, Pro Bowl, Masters, Kentucky Derby, ESPYs, Emmys, Oscars, things like that.
So you just hate getting up on and going to work Monday morning, I guess, huh?
I tell people all the time, if you want to feel blessed, you'll be the type of person I am who rushes to work every day, but also rushes home. And I think that's the true balance that I found as an entrepreneur, that if I could have that passion to every day, which I do, I rush to work or rush to the events and projects I'm working on, but I also have the balance where by the end of the day, I'm ready to go play with my 4 kids and my gorgeous wife.
I got 4 kids and a gorgeous wife as well, and I know the feeling of loving what you do. Here's an observation and a question, because I think people that hear this would have the same kind of a question, which is, how do you, as someone starting off in your career, with the end game in mind of this giving back and this, thriving mentality of, now I'm going to capitalize on what all I have done with, relational capital to give back so that I can have all of these things, but you cannot step into that day one, because if you tried to do what you're doing today, day one, it would have never worked. You didn't know the right people. You didn't have the right experiences. So at some point, you've got to do like what Mark Cuban says and just grind it out so that you've got that, those battle scars, so that you can then take that and go, okay, Now, here's the next level. So what would you give some advice on someone who knows that you've got a tough road ahead of you to learn and grind and put in the hard work, but yet at the same time, you don't want to put off doing the good things and the giving back until I've attained, because who's to say when that will happen? You've got to do the giving back from day one, even if you don't have quadrillions of dollars to give or all the time in the world to give. So how does that balance happen?
Yeah, and it's really important to, number one, detach from the outcome, right? We wake up every morning and we have to really focus in on the value that I can provide today, right? And that value of what I can provide today is not only for others, but the value of taking care of myself and receiving to create a brand, to create a platform, to create abundance for myself so that I'm in a position to someday make significant change. And I think when I defined happiness was one of the key shifts in the paradigm or shifts in my belief system, that when I started understanding that, it wasn't just the money, it was the pursuit of my potential that made me happy. And that if I continually to pursue my potential as a father, as a husband, pursue my potential as a business owner, pursue my potential as a philanthropist, a humanitarian, all of these different areas that I pursue my potential to live at my highest vibration, that brings me joy. And it allows me to detach from the outcome. And ironically, by detaching from the outcome and focusing in on that pursuit, I actually get out of my own way, and the things that I want to manifest for myself or attract to myself actually become to me more rapidly and accurately than ever before.
Yeah, it's like the old saying, it's not the achieving and the attaining of the goal. It is the person you become on the journey to achieving that goal. And so you said it so well. And then, of course, I'm sure you're familiar with The Go-Giver by Bob Burg. It's that whole mentality of giving and serving, and money and accolades is a reflection of the level of service that you're giving to your sphere. But it's only just like a little tally mark or a tick mark. It's not the ultimate goal, because money's here today, gone tomorrow. But what you do for people and how you make them feel, like Maya Angelou says, people will forget what you said to them, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt that, your legacy is not going to be how much money is in your bank. It's going to be how many people you have touched, how many people you have connected to goodness, inspired, how many people that you have been unconditionally selfless with, giving of not only your money, but your time or your advice. And so all of these different areas of providing service and value each day. I have a mathematical formula just real quickly that really shifted the paradigm, is that when you take, right, you eat well at night. When you give, you sleep well at night. But when we take, you create a void for you to fill. And you are human. You're inefficient and ineffective and statistically unsuccessful. But when you wake up in the morning at service, when you wake up in the morning to give value to others of whatever value you have, there's a void left there, not for you to fill, but for the universe to fill. And the thing I love about the universe is it's exact. It is efficient. It is effective. It is statistically successful. So everything comes to you more rapidly and accurately. And that's where sayings like, if I give, I get 10 times as much back. That's mathematically impossible. The reason it feels like 10 times as much is because it comes so efficiently and effectively, it feels like so much more.
Well, the interesting thing with what you said with that void is that void will get filled by someone, because let's just say it's a human being in need, whatever that need may be, and whatever human being that might be. Well, that person needs something, and that's a void. Well, it's going to get filled. Someone somewhere can fill that. Could it be you? Could it be me? And just like you said about the 10 times, wow, it's not just a tick mark to say I did this, action. It is that fulfilling soul, amplifying experience, and why shouldn't it be you? So I love that mathematical formula, because it really. But here's the thing, and I think that you would agree with this. We cannot go, I'm going to enact that mathematical formula and I'm going to do X, Y, Z so that I can get PDQ, because look at that mathematical formula and that 10 times. You can't do that, because then it blows all up in your face. So you've got to do it from the mindset of just doing it and giving and serving and being. And then what happens down the road might be 2 weeks down the road to come back to you, or 2 years, or it doesn't matter. It's just you're doing it for the sake of doing it. So let's lead that thought into, tell us about your Meltzer mission and how you have merged into kind of amplifying all of that into a structure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to that point, the Meltzer mission was founded on that principle of everything will come to me at the right way at the perfect time. And the Meltzer mission is one based off of 4 principles: gratitude, which gives us perspective, which makes our past wonderful, our present even better, and our future even brighter. It's based off of empathy, which is forgiveness, right? It's not, we can't feel bad enough for someone to make them feel good, but empathy is forgiveness. And if we can forgive ourselves, then we can forgive others. It's based off of accountability, knowing that there's only 2 questions to ask with everything in our lives. Number 1, what did I do to attract it into my life? And 2, what am I supposed to learn from it? And finally, effective communication, which is extremely critical for millennials today because there's so many different means and mediums to communicate on. All of them are empowering, but we have to know the best case scenarios, the best situations in which to communicate effectively. And so utilizing those 4 principles that are in my book, Connected to Goodness, my first book, we can actually accelerate the process of allowing things to happen in the right way at the perfect time. But the distinction that I make is it doesn't just happen sitting at home meditating on your mom's couch getting high. It happens by taking action and being of service and creating value to the best of your potential, and by combining the pragmatic principles of action with these imagination principles, these character principles of gratitude, empathy, accountability, and effective communication, we can accelerate whatever we want, and it's especially empowering for entrepreneurs.
It's kind of like the old phrase, knowledge is power, which is a complete fallacy because knowledge, as you know, is potential power, and you got to do something with it. And, sitting on mom's couch, going, I will manifest X, Y, and Z, ain't going to happen until you get up and start grinding it, and I think that's the thing that so many people miss. And the old example about the farmer that works hard all day and he sleeps the best at night because he has just worked his fingers to the bone. Well, that's a realization that I'm out there getting the work done. So if you are now working at improving yourself, giving toward other people, there actually is work involved, and it's not just a nice little good feeling that you can pat someone on the back and write them a quick check that sometimes is needed. But don't you find that there's that other balance of, there's that financial or that check writing aspect, but then there's the work aspect of diving into that cause and making sure that stuff happens?
No doubt. And, in fact, the book that I just finished is called Trust the Universe, but Tie Up Your Camels. This conflict between the ideas of dreaming and being a dreamer and an entrepreneur, combined with the action, the work ethic, giving it all you got, never quitting. One of my best pieces of advice that I give to entrepreneurs is that if you focus, number 1, on the past with gratitude, right? If we focus on the past of what I've learned, and I'm so grateful for all the challenges I've had, but in the present, if I'm only chiefly concerned about what do I have to do to stay in business tomorrow, right? I really only have to worry about one thing. If I believe in all the philosophies that you and I agree upon, all I really have to do to be successful is to be in business tomorrow. So what I do when I start my day is I make that my first action item. I want to guarantee that I'm going to be in business tomorrow because I know that everything's going to come to me at the right way at the perfect time. And if I give my best effort, if I pursue my potential as an entrepreneur, whether it takes me 9 months like an Instagram to be a billion-dollar company or 100 years like Coca-Cola, it doesn't matter. Because as long as I stay in business, it will come to me. And keep it very simple and detached from the outcome. And all of these different principles relate to one another with that one common goal that we really want to pursue our potential and be happy.
I love it. Tell us a little bit about your gratitude app.
So, I believe the easiest way to change your life is 2 words: thank you. And in order to make that part of your subconscious and unconscious, like anything else, we need to practice it every day. And so what I believe is if you say thank you before you go to bed and when you wake up for 30 straight days, it'll become a part of you. and it's the easiest way to change your life. I have studied quantum physics, metaphysics, and physics for the past 10 years. And it's so funny because all of the things I've studied have come down to this simple thing to change my life for the better would be just to say thank you before I go to bed and want to wake up. And it's amazing because I get in crowds of 1,000 people that I speak to, and I ask them, who here believes me? Everybody raises their hand. Then I ask them, who here thinks they can say thank you for 30 straight days? Everybody raises their hand. And the saddest thing, Mike, is that by the end of that day, half of them won't say thank you. By the next morning, another half won't say thank you. And within 3 days, even another half, down to about 3 people, will be able to say thank you. I've given them the easiest way to change their life for the better, and they can't even do that. So what I did is I created a gratitude app under Meltzer Mission. It's free. That will remind you to say thank you before you go to bed and when you wake up. And it also has some thank you cards that you can send to people for any occasion, all for free, just to spread the word of gratitude.
That is so awesome. And so now, if you wouldn't mind, let's just wrap up this talk with what's the best way people can learn more about your app, your books, your mission, and everything that we've talked about today.
So you can go to sports1marketing.com, and that's the number 1, not spelled out like Warren Moon's jersey. There's also the meltzermission.com. Those are the 2 best websites to gather all the data of everything from our marketing platform to the gratitude app, to the books, to the speeches, to the events and charitable foundations that we're supporting. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter @DMeltzer.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was so wonderful learning about everything we've talked about today. I love, I'm going to download your app and set up some reminders for myself, and just wanted to thank you for your time, David.
Thank you. Anytime, Mike. I look forward to talking to you.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.